Hello, parents. How are you? I'm Dr. Siddharth Arora. Welcome to today's session. Thanks to First Grand Exergen for calling me here back again today, and I'm excited to be here. Let's talk about fever today. So, I understand fever. It's a very common thing. Everyone gets it. We all understand what fever is and what to do, but it's one thing that's most common, and it's one thing that really is a something from our nightmare when our child gets it, and it's really painful. As a parent, I understand that when a child has fever, you touch them, they feel very hot, and the first thing you do is you get a little panicked and feared, and in your mind you want to call doctor and do hundreds of things. So fever, of course, is very important for us to understand. uh, what exactly is fever? सो मेनी पेरेंट्स से कि सर फीवर जैसा लग रहा है पर फीवर नहीं है. फीवर जैसा एंड फीवर आर वेरी काइंड ऑफ प्रेजेंटेशन. मैनी पीपल इन देयर होम टाउन्स हैव डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ सेइंग अबाउट इट. पाँव गर्म है, तला गर्म है, ऐसा लग रहा है, वैसा लग रहा है, बट फीवर इज फीवर एंड वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड वाई इट हैपन्स. सो मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम नॉर्मली fever is caused by infections. Fever is also caused by dehydration when child is tired too much, but after vaccines, very importantly. But a fever of infection always brings a little trouble to our mind because it's going to stay for some time, and fever is a sign. It indicates that something else is going on in the body. We need to find it and we need to correct it. So fever itself is a message by our body that something is happening. I am fighting against it. I am eliciting a fever response. So now the parents need to act. uh, Fever basically is something that is caused by our brains, hypothalamus axis, what we call it. So if you have any brain damage or something like that, there may not be a good fever response, or there will be a very aberrant fever response. So a normal child getting fever is absolutely a common thing. Every child gets it once in a while, and parents, most of them are very well equipped to handle it. But when we call up the doctor and tell them कि सर फीवर है, फीवर आ रहा है, so we always ask कि कितना टेम्परेचर है. Now here's when half of the parents fail to do. They just check it, child is warm, that's all. Some may leave it, ignore it, some may panic overtly, some may get anxious, some may run to the doctors immediately, some may stay at home, wait for 3 days or 4 days. So everyone has a different mechanism to cope with fevers. But first and foremost thing, most of the parents that they fail to do is measure the child's temperature. So fever is very important to be documented. Now the reason we are discussing fever is that in last 8 to 9 months we have seen this COVID-19 pandemic. So other than children also, even adults are getting it, and often when our throats are scratchy and we are sneezing a little bit, or we have come in contact with people who have been exposed, our first response is check kar lo mera temperature, find out the thermometer, where is it, am I feeling hot, मेरे को गर्म लग रहा है, please check my temperature. So this checking of temperature, this keeping of thermometers at home has become more frequent. So it's not fear, it's not panic, it's awareness. And it's a very good thing that almost all of us have procured a thermometer, that we are keeping it at home, and it's a really positive thing. There are few positive things out of this pandemic, and this is one of them. So always remember, keep a thermometer at your home. Do measure your child's temperature before talking to your pediatrician or before even panicking about it. Now let's say you have measured the temperature. So what could be the reasons? So like I said, most common reasons are infections in children. So as regard to infection, currently COVID-19 itself is a big thing that's on our mind, and it's a pandemic, it's worldwide, it's everywhere, it's penetrated the smallest of the towns. Now with the end of monsoon and the onset of winters comes another pandemic that has been there since ages, that keeps on coming, that keeps on infecting, but we don't often talk about it. It's the flu pandemic. So this time, with this dual pandemic, there could be more increase in number of fevers. The children would be brought just for the maybe COVID-19 or maybe for other reasons. Personally, I am seeing 5 by 10 COVID, but 5 by 10 there's so many other fever with rashes that are also going on there. So yes, documenting of fever is very important for us. A child may get tired, a child may get injury in the leg, a child may not be able to tell you that muscle is paining. These things also elicit fever. There are certain other notorious elements in the body, some systemic responses, those who are not infection but again can elicit fever. Now whenever you go to a doctor, the first thing they will ask you is कैसा फीवर आ रहा है, कितना फीवर आ रहा है, कब कब आता है. So a doctor is a detective who needs to find the cause, what is happening in the body. This is our job. We have to diagnose the disease. So while diagnosing the disease, we need to know a lot more about it. Blood investigation, sampling, retrospective checking, all these things come later. But for a doctor, even the base when we are learning our residency or MBBS, the first thing that we always ask is history of the patient. And history for us, first and foremost, history is always the history of fever. So we want to know what is the fever type. Is it a constant fever? Is it a fever that comes and goes? Is it an intermittent fever? Is it what kind of fever the child is having? I'm sorry, there's a problem with Facebook. Video is okay, now it's okay. I apologize for that. So we really need to know what is the pattern of this fever. This helps us. Now, how do you establish this pattern of fever? Is by recording it. So whenever a parent who has a child with a fever, we always want to know कि सुबह में आया था, रात को आया था, 2 दिन का fever है, 3 दिन का fever, and then there was a gap that the fever didn't come and distribution. So we always want to know that what kind of a fever it is. For that, of course, thermometers are important. So you have to measure a child's temperature. Now with smaller children, newborns and babies and infants, it's always not that difficult to measure a temperature of question. With older children, it's again easy because they will cooperate with you. What happens with difficult is about the toddlers who will not allow you to take their temperatures, and you will feel that they're having fever but you're not able to elicit it. So most of my parents say, sir fever तो है but measure नहीं करने देता है, सुबह में गर्म लग रहा था, रात को गर्म लग रहा था. And then there is this medications that we give that brings down the fever. So parents think that giving paracetamol or giving Meftal, mefenamic acid or ibugesic makes the child better. No, it doesn't. It just subsides the fever. If it's a dehydration fever or fever due to any other reason, if it's once in a while occurrence, these medicine will bring it out, bring the body temperature to normal, make the child more comfortable. So to make the child more comfortable, we give these medications. But the original thing inside, if the child is going through this effect of medication is over, the fever shall come back again. So this is how we as doctors get help by you when you take these again, the Facebook is getting stuck in a bit. Okay, all right. So what we mean about fever. So fever, when we talk about fever, we want to know the core body temperatures of the patient. So we have to measure these core body temperatures. Now, in a child, the fever could be, there are different grades of fever. So we call it as mild, heavy fever, low fever. There are different kind of terminologies attached to it. So normal temperature for our body is around 37 to 38. Everyone is comfortable in that zone. Some very rare individuals could have elevated body temperatures. So when we measure this temperature, we need to make sure the accuracy of the thermometers. We need to understand whether the fever recording is absolutely right or not. So we need to measure core body temperatures. So this core body temperature is the word that is more effective to us, because in a child, because of immature brain, because of immature circulation, the hands and feet may feel too warm, they might be in shock, they may feel too pale, and the central body temperatures may be high. So we need a tool to measure it accurately. So these tools, these thermometers, can give us an idea, and the effect of these, the efficacy of this thermometer in fact tells us what is the body temperature. So different kind of thermometers are available in the market. I'm discussing this because it's a very practical thing. Parents come and they say कि सर टेम्परेचर इसमें नहीं दिखा रहा पर उसमें दिखा रहा है, उस थर्मोमीटर में नहीं था इसमें है, this thermometer is saying this much, this thermometer is saying this much. So this, what you can do, I'm not talking about treating fever here, I am talking about identifying fever, how your doctor will be helped by the measurement of these fevers. So there are different kinds of temperatures, thermometers available in the market. As you used to remember, previously there were those mercury we need to keep here and the mercury used to rise. They're still available in the market, but actually they're banned because there's mercury inside. If they break the glass, the mercury, it's very toxic for children. It's almost deadly. So that's why these have been phased out, and even selling them is illegal right now. So now what we get are the digital ones, the electronic ones that are going around commonly. But again, they are a little bit cumbersome. Talking in terms of pandemic, we want to search a tool that is effective, that is fast enough, that helps you to measure it more accurately. So the most accurate temperature measurement devices are the one that we use in our ICUs, the core body temperature probes. They are inserted rectally, and you have heard rectal thermometers that were available round bulb. The problem with them, the pros are that they are actually good at the readings, but in practical day-to-day scenario, we don't really want to have that kind of a 0.2 degrees Celsius or 0.3 degrees. So we are better off in the ones that are convenient. Rectal thermometers are not convenient. They cannot be used for masses. It's for one particular child, and the child may be injured while taking the measurement. So it's very important that we need accurate tool, but as well as convenient tool. So second comes these IR guns that are lately available all over the market. So you go to a supermarket. I went to Chroma other day, and these guys was just taking a IR gun. I was coming from a hot weather. The temperature was totally unreliable. So these IR guns can measure your skin temperature, and that's about it. Now skin is very effective in some people to dissipate the heat. In others, it may not be able to dissipate the heat effectively. So these IR guns at airports, at supermarkets, I am not a very big fan of them because they are just screening tools. That means out of 100, they might catch only 20-30 people who would have actually elevated body temperatures. Otherwise, it will be missed. So for your own baby, using IR guns at home is actually not recommended. Then we have another new modalities coming up, very good ones, the ear measurement canal. So these are close to heart. The ear canal, it is as close to the inner body as you can get in, other than mouth. So you measure it inside and you take the temperature. With cooperative children, yes, they can be easy. But if they are having upper respiratory tract infection, most of the time it's all vacuumed up and paining inside. When you put them, it causes more of a bulging pressure, and the children are not able to express their discomfort. So they will just say, it pains, dukta hai, isko mat lagao. And then they will get fearfulness of these probes. And when you want to run after that to measure temperature, they might not be comforted in the sense, and they might run away from these temperature measurement tools. So these are good but not inconvenient. And lastly, we have this TATs, the devices available, the temporal artery temperature one. So this is your temporal artery. There are different kind of trees, like branches emerging from your heart. Your heart is your core body. It regulates the blood. So these vessels come out, and the temporal artery is most near to them. So with temporal artery thermometer, it's just roughly about 2 to 3 millimeters below the skin. So when you take this, within 5 to 6 seconds, it gives you your core body temperature. It is again not as accurate as the rectal, but it is pretty accurate. Same as the digital thermometers that we inserted in the mouth. Many are used to take in the axilla or the groins. So these axillary and groins digital thermometers are not as effective as the temporal ones, and not even that convenient. So let's talk about post-COVID, this adjustment that we are going through, this mid-COVID phase. Schools are planning to be open. There are a lot of classes that have opened up. There are a lot of gyms that have opened up. Malls have opened up. Many parents are going to travel. So at these places, mass of children are there. Now, to measure in everyone for 1 to 2 minutes, a child standing is not very convenient. So is the issue with nurseries where children are going. So for them, you need an effective tool. Even at home, if you want to do it 4 or 5 times a day to measure a child's temperature, you have to go through these temporal artery ones. They are more preferable and easy, effective, convenient. So these are the words. So now that we have established that fever is important, the grading of fever is also important. Why we need to measure fever? In dengue, the fever comes like this, then it disappears, then there's a second pattern. With typhoid, the fever goes like this. It's a step-ladder fever pattern. With the virals, the fever shoots up very high. Slowly over the phase of 3 to 4 days, it goes down. With other infections, the fever goes up. And with bacterial especially, it comes down, it goes up, it comes down, it goes up. So these are different kind of patterns that you must have seen in the hospitals, nurses plotting the graph of fever. So this measurement on your side can help your doctor or your medical attendant to identify the cause of fever more effectively. Even with COVID, we are identifying different kind of fever pattern. So these things are very important in that regards. Now, we talked about newborns in our last session. So coming to the fever of newborn in this session, fever of newborn. Now, newborns do elicit fever. Most people think that a child is very small, they can have high temperature. I have had so many parents rushing to me that child is feeling very warm. Most of the time in newborns, these fevers are due to dehydration or overcovering. Parents are overtly worried that the child will get cold, the AC is working, the temperature is cool, so they cover them with 1 layer, 2 layer, 3 layer, 4 layer, and the child becomes very hot. As soon as you take them out, the heat is dissipated and the child is comfortable. But infection in newborn can cause hypo and hyperthermia both. It can cause the child to go very cool. The skin will become very pale and cool. At the same time, fever can also come. So a newborn with infection and fever, an uncomfortable newborn with fever, always raises ears for us. So remember, even in newborns, 5 days old, 10 days old, 28 days old, 25 days old, it's very, very, very important that we measure these temperatures and establish it and report it to the doctor. So in newborns also, this is important. If a child has fever and a child is playful, comfortable, in between fever the child is doing perfectly well, that says the child must have some different cause of fever rather than infection, or some virals can have this kind of pattern. But if the child is having severe headache, stomach ache, irritable, has cough and cold, it has a fever that has gone beyond 3 days or 2 days, and there are other symptoms that are coming, it almost is universal that a child is battling some infection. It could not be a vaccine fever. It could not be just a simple fever. It could be something more sinister, and we need to check it. So retrospectively, a parent may say, I don't know when the first fever come. I don't know which grade of fever it was. So these things, if the first day itself you have started measuring the fever, 3 days or 4 days later, a doctor will be helped to identify. So infections commonly are the bacterial and the viral. In post-COVID scenario, when we are using too many sanitizers and all, there are a lot of rise of atypical bacterial, atypical virals that are coming. The classic pattern of fevers that we used to associate it with dengue or malaria or other things have disappeared. And these new viruses I am seeing recently, viruses that are causing diarrhea, viruses that are causing rashes in the child, viruses that are causing fever in different patterns. Then there is MIS, post-COVID, which has a very high grade of fever. I have seen a child with fever for more than 14 days, and despite all antibiotics and everything, the fever didn't go away. What helped me was the day of onset of fever. The parent had noted the temperature, it was 100, 102. They had given me entire 14 days of the history of child with different kind of fever, and then it was established that this is something wrong. This is continuously high persistent fever, not responding to antibiotics, not responding to viral. COVID is negative. So then we discovered that this child is having something that happens post-COVID. It's called as pediatric multi-inflammatory syndrome, which is treatable, of course, if caught early in the course. So that fever pattern itself saved the child from deteriorating. He spent 2 days in ICU, but he came out. So the measurement of fever was very important in this case rather than the blood investigations randomly that were done. So this is how a fever, a very small thing, but can help us to identifying what is happening. So as the children grow up, there are a lot of infections they encounter. They go to school, which is a breeding ground of germs. They go to play yards. They go to so many places, and they get exposed to these viruses, these bacteria. So they are bound to get infected. Now this is called as natural vaccination. So many infections our own body have learned to deal with it in the past. Not all viruses or bacteria carry a vaccine with them. So a child playing there get exposed, gets a 3 or 4 days fever, he is immune to that particular virus. They are all mild viruses. So that's how your immune system becomes strong. It doesn't become strong by taking some zinc supplements, by taking some multivitamins or some kada or all. These are all okay to take, but they will not boost the immune system. They will not give the immune memory to the child. Getting natural infections or vaccinations are the tools that your child will be immune to these things, and that is called as a strong immune system, not a child who is thoroughly protected inside the dorms of house. So I've seen a lot of children who were there entirely closed inside the pandemic, not even going out. As soon as these kids are coming out, they're getting susceptible to more infections as compared to the other kids who were having a balanced mask life and going out. So overprotection also causes your immune system to have a lower response to the natural viruses and bacteria that are there everywhere around us. So you will get ill regularly. You have to take normal precautions. You don't have to do anything unnecessarily, overtly from your side that ये करूँगा तो fever नहीं आना चाहिए, वो करूँगा तो fever नहीं आना चाहिए, डॉक्टर के पास वैक्सीन लगाया था आज fever आएगा सर. So many patients believe me, literally they are like that, doctor, by giving this vaccine my child will have fever, and I don't want to give this vaccine because I don't want to see my child going through that one day of fever. So that is the real fear that patient have in mind, that fever is something really bad. Fever is not bad. It's just an indication your body is giving that yes, something is going on inside. Now if you understand that it is because of vaccination, you should be comforted. A doctor finds the cause, that this is the virus that is causing it and this is the treatment for it, so then you should be comforted. So fear and fever goes hands in hand for the patient. I have confused this word so many times in my own mouth that you can understand the connection between them. So yes, we all get fiery of them. We all are very confused that fever should not happen, but it is bound to happen. Your child growing up in first 5 years of life, they are bound to get fever so many times of them. So what do you do when you actually have fever? A child has a fever, suppose at let's say 12 o'clock midnight, a child is getting 102 fever, 1 month fever, 101 fever. First thing you do is you panic. So don't do that. First thing that you should be doing rather is giving an antipyretic drug to your child. Now if the child has eaten anything, it's okay. If not, give a glass of water. Make sure they're hydrated. Hydration is very important tool that brings the fever down. So your core body temperature was elevated, you gave some water, the water went in, there's a good the heat dissipates. With heat, lot of water vapor comes out, the child gets naturally dehydrated. And if the child is dehydrated more, a doctor might have to admit the child, give some IV fluid inside. So from the first onset of fever itself, if it's a high fever, especially more than 102, you give lots and plenty of water. You make sure the entire night child is thoroughly hydrated. If a child is breastfeeding, so give repeated breastfeedings, 1 hourly, 1.5 hourly, so that the hydration level doesn't fall. This is very important. Second comes the role of antipyretics, mefenamic acid, paracetamol. All these are good drugs that you can keep over home. These are all over the counter medicines that should be kept at home at all times with you. So in the recommended doses, whatever the doctor has recommended or whatever is listed, you should give them, bring down their fever immediately. So these are two things. Third thing, wait and watch, give comfort to the child. Do not rush at the first fever itself unless you can see visibly there is some problem, unless the child is coughing or sneezing or having seizures or something like that. Talking about seizure, many children with fever can have febrile seizures. What are febrile seizures? Basically, any sudden change in the body temperature can elicit seizures in a child. Fit, mirgi ka daura, all those things are called. This is a very common thing that happens between 6 months to 5 or 6 years of age. It can come again, it can come once, but simple febrile seizures are one, those do not recover once they happen, recur once they happens. So many children are prone to these seizures. So a parent always should be aware that उसको temperature आता है, fever की वजह से seizure आता है. Now the grade of fever actually does not say a child will have seizures or not. So some parents think कि 102 या 103 क्रॉस करेगा तो ही seizures आएगा. But it's always important that sudden shift of temperature, going up and coming down as well, should not happen. So here again comes the importance of home recording of temperature. It is very important so that you have measured it. If a child who is particularly prone to febrile seizures, you measure the temperature, you check it again. If it's rising very rapidly, or after giving antipyretics and doing pani ki patti and pocha and all, if it's coming down very fast, so you should be aware that this child can throw a fit, this child can throw a seizure. So you should, in these children particularly, you should be measuring these temperatures again. So for these children who are uncomfortable, who are not allowing you, who are irritated, again comes the importance of a very convenient tool of thermometer measurement. And I totally support these TAT temporal artery ones because they are quick, fast. So this is what I advise to my patients also to keep at home. But if you don't have that one and if the child is cooperative enough, so your regular thermometers also do. But what is important for us is to measure these temperatures. So that is again very, very important. There are few questions that are being asked. So Charu Segal is asking which is best thermometer for my family. Charu, you're talking about family which has 5-6 people in it. So like I said, these temporal ones, I think right now these days they are more preferable. Adults can take any kind of thermometer with safety, but when the children come into play, you have to take one that is convenient. For measurement of 5 different people very quickly, 6 seconds you keep it here, the temperature comes. So I think that is more preferable. There's one more question here, I just missed it. So my son is 10 years old, his weight is normal but height is 48. Is it normal or is he short? So Simonti, 10 years old, weight and height, they have to be plotted really. You need to take out the BMI, we need to go with the velocity, we need to also take the mid-parental height and that. So this is, I don't think the question right for the portal. Ayushmi is asking 1.5-year-old child, can she wear a mask? So Ayushmi, my daughter is 1 year 7 months herself, and yes, she is wearing mask. And in fact, if we forget, if we just go out of the house, she makes us remember that wear a mask. So wearing a mask is an influence on the child. If you do it often, if you make it a norm, if you make it a habit, yes, the child is going to be bound to know. As they know that you have to wear shoes while going out, you are changing dress, that means you are going out. So children are very perceptive in nature, and this mask habit, if you inculcate it even for 5-6 times, so next time onward they will themselves start wearing masks. Now how long they wear it or how effectively wear it, that's another thing entirely. But yes, they do wear it. I have seen children 9 months old wearing mask. I have seen children 6 months old wearing mask, and they keep on doing it for hours. And I have seen children who are 3 or 4 year old, those who won't stick on with the mask. So masks are very important, and with having masks you can prevent a lot of infections and this fever won't happen. So Soumya Reddy is asking, my baby has a cold, mild temperature today. Is it fever? She's not eating or drinking anything. Any suggestions? So Soumya ji, when a child has a fever makes the child uncomfortable. There are certain kinds of body pain. There's certain discomfort in a child. They can express this by not feeling, usually playful that they are. And in that sense, they will not also want to eat. At the other hand, if a child is having gastritis, some abdominal pain, some aversion to food, and they are not eating or drinking, they go dehydrated. With dehydration comes a little bit elevation of body temperature. So for you, it's more important to note down the fever, the gradings of fever. If you see a consistent pattern with fever, and while fever the child comes and not eating well, and when the fever goes down the child is comfortable, that means something else is causing that fever, and that needs to be checked by your pediatrician. So that is again the importance of how to measure temperature. I'll scroll below. Okay, so Naga Jyoti is asking, my child has hemoglobin of 7. Is it good or not? And he's looking very bright in color. Okay, so a hemoglobin of 7, if it's properly documented in a proper lab, is actually very low. So I've seen a lot of children with hemoglobin 7 and 8 and 9 in that range. They are more prone for infections. They fall sick very rapidly, and they have repeated infections, very atypical virals and bacterials attached more to these children. So HB of 7 is definitely it's not very good. Your pediatrician will tell you how to bring up that hemoglobin and whether that low hemoglobin has a significance. Some individuals with certain genetic variation can have low hemoglobin, but even in them they need to keep certain precaution always in mind. So no, hemoglobin of 7 is absolutely not good. You need to correct it urgently with something. Deepa is asking, my baby is 8 months old and his head is warm and he is having cold. Yes, so with any common cold or cough cold, even COVID, non-COVID, flu, or whatever the reason is, there comes a little elevation of body temperature. So a cold causes bit inflammatory reactions in the body. Any viruses, any bacteria causes some kind of inflammatory reaction in the body. These inflammation itself is a signal given by the body that something is wrong, and this elicits a fever, so that a parent can identify that something is going wrong with your child. So a child with cough, cold, fever, diarrhea, vomiting, any other problem because of some infection will always elicit a certain fever response. If it's a small, viral load is small or it's not a very significant one, a mild temperature will go and come again. Once or twice high spikes can come and they will disappear on their own. But it's very important then you don't feel the child is warm. You should always document it. Sometimes the children may feel a little bit warm, but when you take their temperature, it's actually pretty high, 101, 102, reaching to that. In that case, you need to give an antipyretic. Without it, the child will really not feel better. With high fever, they don't take and they will become more dehydrated and it becomes a vicious circle. So you need to cut it at the beginning. That is why you need to measure temperature. For cold and cough, I cannot suggest you any remedies over this portal. I'm really sorry about it. So Meet Arora is asking, the daughter is 8-year-old and she suffered from UTI very frequently. Meet 8-year-old female with repeated urinary tract infections is a serious thing. That means something is wrong in the urinary tract pathway. Why is she attracting so many infections frequently? So I think you should consult a doctor, your pediatrician, who would suggest you to go for some sonography. He will have to look at the kidney structure. He will have to look at the bladder structure also. He will have to look at the pathway that urine, what we call it as urethra, is properly established. Is there some local issue that is causing repeated? Because a raw area can infect more bacteria. Something that is actually bad inside can infect more bacteria inside. So you need to get a thorough examination done. Popping antibiotics every time for bacteria, you have to pop them when the bacterial infection is there, but this is not a good idea on a frequent basis. You need to identify the root cause, why is it happening, and then you have to address it. So there's your answer. So COVID will affect a toddler's health like affecting lungs and all. Priyanka, yes, toddlers toddlers get affected. I have seen newborn. I have a 7-day-old newborn who has been affected. I have had pregnant female delivering newborns with IgG positive COVID antibody. They had platelets low. So every age group is infected by COVID. As the smaller the age of children, the less effect on lungs they have. This is some genetic factors. A lot of theories are going on why COVID spares children. So yes, children do get affected. I have seen a small 3-year-old girl but she had a pre-existing illness, some diabetic like condition, that she went almost 20 to 30% of her lungs were involved. I have seen a 2-year-old child with little bit involvement in the lung, but as compared to adults, they all fared very well. So it's very rare that I have seen lung involvement, particularly going for CT scan. We don't advise it for children very often as we do for adults, but to some degree, yes, it affects them, but not that much. So COVID, the main involvement that comes in COVID is after COVID. So 2% of children who have gone through COVID can fall into this multi-inflammatory syndrome, which is more common in children. Adults, it's next to none, but we have seen so many children coming with this multi-system where all the organs of the body are involved, especially heart and liver. So it is much more, it's more deadlier, it's more sinister, but it's very rare at the same time. So you don't need to worry about it unnecessarily right at the moment. When children are playing running at time, if they wear mask, is there any problem? Uh, if the mask is comfortable, it doesn't keep falling, they are not touching it again and again, so yes, there is no problem with it. It's not like too much of carbon dioxide get accumulated. But yes, wearing a mask for prolonged hours, even we have felt that when we come home, headaches are there, body aches are there, we are devoid of fresh air, so they cannot wear mask for prolonged these things and keep on playing. It's not very practical. So if a proper social distance has been maintained, they are cleaning their hands and all, I think you should let them wear. But that again is a very much scenario based thing, which locality, which kind of a crowd they are in. And in COVID times, it's really very difficult to say who's carrying COVID or who's not carrying, especially with children. Half of them are asymptomatic, more than half of them are asymptomatic, so you cannot really tell who is going to spread. It's a very, very difficult and a tricky situation for any doctor or any COVID expert out there. Hema Kanwar is asking, my daughter is always having pain in stomach after drinking milk. Why is that? Could be a lot of reasons again. So this thing again not a suitable question for this portal. I'm really sorry, Hema, but after drinking milk, if she has any milk allergy, if she has some other digestive issues, the quality of the milk, how she is having it, whether it's something to do with her emotional response, all these things are totally involved in that. It's very difficult to judge this over this portal. So Gitika is asking, the child 5 years and more is suffering from yesterday with the 9900-degree temperature. So Gitika is the first one who has actually quoted down a temperature recording here, and has a little cold and cough, and I'm giving Crocin to him since yesterday, but the fever is coming and going in 9 to 10 hours. So yes, this is what exactly Gitika I was talking about. So when a child has any fever and you have given antipyretic like paracetamol, जब आप उसको फीवर की दवा देते हैं, so हम commonly क्रोसिन को, पैरासीटामोल को, कालपॉल को, मेफ्टाल को, आइबुजेसिक को, फ्लेक्सोन, कॉम्बीफ्लेम, ये सब दवाओं को हम फीवर की दवा बोलते हैं. बट एक्चुअली ये सारी दवा एंटीपायरेटिक है, मतलब उनका टेम्परेचर गिराने के लिए है. सो दीज मेडिसिन हैव acting effect of 6 to 8 hours roughly. So till the effect lasts, the fever will be down. As soon as the effect goes away, the fever which was already there will come again. So this means that something is going on in the body inside that was not just a one spike thing, it's still present. And that is why even after giving antipyretic, when the action of antipyretic disappears, the fever that was still the inflammation that was still inside the body has bound to come again in the form of a temperature. So this you should get it checked. In kids, usually with 3 months old kid, we need to take it to doctor urgently. With 3 to 6 months, in the range of that, we can wait for some time. For toddlers, maybe about 2 days we can wait for the fevers, 2 or 3 days, especially with older children. But if they're having certain other symptoms, you should take the doctor urgently. So in this case, if your child is okay in between fever, absolutely drinking, eating well, managing the things, maybe keep a doctor in loop that these are all the things happening. Take an opinion. At the same time, don't do much at this point, but keep on giving that Crocin. But if something happens, if the child is uncomfortable, listless, lethargic, not drinking well, not eating well, And child is in general, even between fever, they are very uncomfortable. In between fever means the child is now normal 97 or 98, but they're still lethargic, so that means something wrong is going on, and that needs to be investigated. So you can wait for a day, keep on giving crocin every 7 to 8 hourly, and then after 2 days you should meet your doctor. Son is 3.6 years, tongue is a little yellow. um, Again, eating carrots can cause orange and yellow, candies also can cause yellow, or there could be some jaundice factor, but the tongue usually doesn't become yellow, the scleras become yellow. So this again needs to be checked in person. If you could send me the picture, I could guide you accordingly. uh, I'm not taking underweight questions here. Can teething cause fever and cold? Absolutely perfect question, Saloni Kandelwalji. Teething, yes. Teething, basically when the teeth comes out, there's a mild inflammation around that area. So a child is very finicky, want to eat something, want to chew on something. So sometimes difficult teething can cause some inflammation, and this can increase the body temperature, elevate the body temperature to a certain level. Fever and cold, no, they are not per se caused by that, but the teething age, this age of 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, 7 months, so this is the age where your own, the mother's antibody levels in the child goes down, the immunity, the innate immunity that you had given to a child has gone down. That's why majority of the vaccinations are done before 6 months. So during this time, a child has just entered the world. Think about it. For 6 months, he was on breastfeeding. He had the immunity that he had received from you. Now that immunity is going away. The child is forming his own immune system. So at this particular time, there's a lot of coincidence with regular viruses and bacteria that surround us, and teething also happen, and the child puts a lot of stuff in his mouth. So these are all multivariable reasons that why a child with teething can have a little bit fever. There's no single answer to this. It's a multifactorial reason for this. Yes, Ruchi Garg is asking, have a session on recurring UTI in toddler. Ruchi, absolutely. This is one thing, recurring UTI, upper respiratory tract infection and urinary tract infection. They are both associated with this recurring thing pattern, and there are a lot of sessions already out there on these topics. But absolutely, I would, if you like to connect to me, I would be explaining you more details about this thing. But absolutely right, I cannot take this on this portal right away. Soumya is asking, I want to stop feeding bottle for my daughter. Please provide suggestions. Uh, Again, I'm sorry, this is not the zone for that. But yes, it's a very interesting thing, and I have taken a lot of session for my parents how to do that. Always remember, the later the period of the more the child has been on bottle, the more difficult it is to take them out. So very difficult for young parents out there. 6 months, 7 months, just cut off the bottle. That's one advice for you out there. 6 years, 16 kg weight, this is okay, no, this is not okay. But then again, this could be okay in other senses. So we need to have your graph plotted, we need to have velocity taken, you need to do something about it. Seema Nara, the best thing is to go to your pediatrician and get it sorted out, please. My grandson is 4 years, he thins, he eats very less otherwise. Inderjeet Kaur ji, सबके ग्रैंड बच्चे लगता है कि कुछ नहीं खा रहे, कुछ नहीं कर रहे, बट सीरियसली हम जब लेके बैठते हैं उनके साथ लिखने के लिए कि क्या लेते हैं, कैसे लेते हैं, देन इट टर्न्स आउट द चाइल्ड इज हैविंग टू मच. सो ऑलवेज रिमेंबर 4 years, द टॉडलर ग्रुप, द लेट टॉडलर एज is very difficult. Even the toddlers are very finicky eaters. Lot and lot of things have been done and said, and there are already few sessions about them, उनको कैसे deal करना है. So eats less and otherwise very active is an okay thing for me. I will not be worried very much. Tina Roy is asking, my child weight is 15.5 kg. What will be the best diet for her to control her weight? 15.5 kg. Tina, you have not mentioned the age. I'm really sorry. I cannot judge whether it's overweight or underweight. there are a lot of questions about food and all. Can we have some questions regarding fever? This topic is all about fever. Uh, okay, so Ayushmi is asking, my 1.5-year daughter is having very dry skin, itchy and rashes comes out after applying moisturizer. Sometimes they itch again. She is very naughty. Good. And applied Fusibac, but itching not go away. What do I do? So Ayushmi, this seems that your child is having some skin issues, and the best thing to do about it is to do consult a skin specialist, please. Do not take itching or atopy or skin allergies in a child very lightly. They are very common, and most of them do not need any intervention or just topical things. But sometimes these skin issue, they are a window to the whole embargo of things going in your child's body. So we have seen children with some just basic allergy having a lot of sinister or immune deficiency proper inside their body. So skin issues are best to be judged in person, never over the video, never over the photos. You need to see a skin specialist, get it ascertained, take some good remedies for it. Don't just apply random creams and random medicines, they can harm more. Always remember that. Don't take skin rashes lightly. 15 months old son does not wear a mask while going out. Nothing can be done. I'm really sorry, Joyce Ghosh, but if a child does not want to wear a mask, cannot just put it on or tie it behind. They will start eating, make it wet. The best thing for you is you can take your child out, but make sure you're not in a crowded zone, or when you are stepping out of the house, make sure no one is in the vicinity of at least 6 to 7 feet of the child. Go in your car, have a good joyful outdoors. You don't need to stay indoor just because your child is not wearing a mask, but at the same time, you have to keep your distance. You have to make sure that no one coughs or spits directly on their face. So if they don't wear a mask, encourage them to wear in your own way. Start wearing mask yourself, keep the mask to other kids who are wearing them. Show them that they are wearing a mask. Inspire, not force. So that is why I've said in my previous session also, inspiration helps a lot. If you are able to do that, well and good. If not, connect with me in personal message. I will guide you how to further. My 4.5-year-old vitamin D level is 24, some syrup for the same. Lot of over-the-counter products are available for vitamin D, but at the same time in this pandemic we have seen people popping up vitamin D like anything. Always remember that there's a terminology called hypervitaminosis, and especially with hypervitaminosis D, there are a lot of problems that are also there. Vitamin D levels, out of hundreds of patients that I'm seeing, 90 or 95 of them have very low levels. So yes, we as Indians have tend to be on the lower side of vitamin D, and there are a lot of corrective remedies available, but deficiency of vitamin D, lower calcium levels, they have a whole set of causes and etiology behind that. So if it is not coming by regular procedure, the levels are not going up, you need to have follow-up sessions with your own pediatricians who's working on this case. You just cannot keep on popping vitamin D and think that the level will come up. In some cases they may, in some cases they may not. So vitamin D resistant issues are there in the body. Some kidney issues, some other issues can have a temporarily low vitamin D levels. So it's a very big topic, believe me, and best suited for physical consultation with a doctor, never over this portal. My 1.7-year-old Maitre Patel is asking, is warm most of the times, is it normal? Yes, Maitre, like I said, most of the children do feel warm, but when you measure their temperature, the temperature says it's okay, 97.6, 97.8. So that's one thing where thermometers can help us and guide us. So just feeling warm is not the right thing. You have to measure their core body temperature, like we said, not the skin temperature, the core body temperature. So for that we have discussed in this session what are the tools available. Some people genetically they have a little bit elevated temperature levels, but they are otherwise doing fine. So we do not look much into that regards. So just feeling warm is not the right thing. If it's actually elevated temperature, then you need to look what is the reason behind it. what all place can we use temporal? So temporal thermometers are basically used over the temporal arteries. So these are the temporal arteries going in your body. So here the distance between the artery and the skin is thinnest. So in this area, in the thermometer documentation, they will show you itself where to put it, how to take these measurements. So based on that, it measures your temperature, and it's pretty fast as compared to the digital ones. Um, Tina Roy Ghosh, 1.6 months old with 15.5 kg. Do not worry if she's okay, that your child is 15.5 kg and you're worried about the weight. So at 1.6 months, yes, I have seen kids with 15, 16 kg, 14 kg, but over a period of time, let's say 2 years, 3 years, they balances it. So children have what we call it as growth spurts. They can be in terms of height or they can be in spurts, are pretty common, and you don't need to worry about that. Yes, Deepika, you need to go to a pediatrician. So Lena Mevara is asking, my nephew is 1.5 years old. He can't eat solid food, or he eats any chance he will vomit. He eats chapati with dal, that to grind in a mixer. Okay, Lena Mevara ji, 1.5 year old. I have seen this issue especially with parents who have used these kind of mashed food or a very thinly balanced food for a long period of time. So when I'm taking a session at 5.5 months, I take these sessions at different ages. So at 5.5 months, I take a session about feeding and weaning, how to do, what are the best practices up to 9 months and 1 year. So in this session, I never fail to mention that the food, the consistency, the texture of the food has to be changed monthly. So from mashed food, soft food, you will have to go texture food, you will have to go particle food, you will have to go to a roti ka tukda, the chapati itself, by 9 to 10 or latest by 11 months. Once you have skipped that age, these children are used to taking soft foods. As soon as you give a piece, they will start to choke and vomit out. And parents get so tense that child is choking, that they will not even offer out of fear. So this fear, again, we have to keep in control. We have to guide them. We have to observe them. Let them have this food that they have to chew it. After this age, 1.5 to 2 age, it becomes very tricky. So you have to keep trying. There's no other way. You have to keep trying, but that doesn't mean you just go back to all this churned and mashed food. That is not the right way. He will not be able to take it further also. You have to keep on trying. Slowly increase the consistency, very slowly. In his case, maybe by a factor of 1.5 month or 2 month, but slowly go up on the texture and consistency. From mashed aloo to a tukda of roti, it should not come instantly. You, in this case, you have to take it very gradually and slowly, but you have to keep your graph like this, not like this. So that is your answer. Kana Kothari is asking, foot pain and 4.6 months old. I think you have said 4 years and 6 months, but you have written 4.6 months. So for a 4 or a 5-year-old child between 4 to 8 years of age, growing leg pains are pretty common. But these growing pains, a doctor can ascertain whether it's a growing pain or whether it's not something bad. There are many disorders, serious disorders, that can have leg pains as a symptom. So the bad things need to be ruled out before we say that this is a common thing, leg growing pain. You can give bananas or coconut water. Good amount of potassium intake in the body can sometimes help to elevate this pain. Okay, this is a fever question. Hetal Patel is asking, a baby girl is 4 years and 2 months old. Sometimes only her head is feeling hot and other parts are normal. Why it happens and is it normal? Yes, so I discussed this with children, especially with smaller children or toddlers. So this thing can happen. They may feel warm, very hot in certain areas, and they may feel very cool in other parts. So basically your circulation, the blood circulation raises your temperature. In children, if they are having some infections that does not allow the blood circulation to reach certain parts, that areas become cool. Even with your brain, the hypothalamus that helps to do that, these centers are not mature enough, and sometimes it happens very normally that only wherever there's a very high blood circulation, in those areas only the temperature goes up. So again, what you are suggesting is very true. It happens almost with every other patient that there is the uniformity of fever over the entire body is not accurate, and it happens with almost all the children. So yes, it is absolutely normal. That is why digital temperature probes or thermometers are more important than those IR guns. So again, this I am stressing upon, like I had said, because I've seen a lot of patients coming with IR gun readings, and really we have to teach them. So it was a very pressing point that I had to take in this session today, and I hope I have conveyed that message across. मेरे बेटे को पसीना बहुत आता है, कामना कुथारी इज आस्किंग. सो कामना जी, आपका आंसर ये है कि पसीना बहुत सारी चीज़ों से आता है. कुड बी हाइपर हाइड्रोसिस, बहुत सारे रीजंस उसके रहते हैं, बट एट द सेम टाइम उस टाइम पे टेम्परेचर कितना है जब पसीना आ रहा है, वेदर इट इज़ कॉजिंग डिहाइड्रेशन, वो बच्चे को कोई प्रॉब्लम दे रहा है कि नहीं, वो जेनेटिक है कि नहीं, आपकी फैमिली में बाकी लोगों को ऐसा होता है कि नहीं, वो असर्टन करना भी बहुत ज़रूरी होता है. खाली पसीना आना बीमारी का लक्षण नहीं है, बट हाँ, काफ़ी बीमारियों में इस तरह की प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है. सो अगेन, आपकी प्रॉपर हिस्ट्री डॉक्यूमेंट करके, स्पेशली विद टेम्परेचर रीडिंग, अगर कोई डॉक्टर के पास आप जाएंगे तो वो ज़्यादा हेल्प करेगा डायग्नोसिस और आपका आंसर देने के लिए. अगेन अ वेट क्वेश्चन, दिव्या नागेंद्र जी, आई एम स्किपिंग दैट, आई एम रियली सॉरी, यू कैन PM मी दैट क्वेश्चन. Avni Nagda is asking, in today's situation, how can we keep the child's immune real good? So, Avni ji, I have taken this question in my last session as well, that a child's immunity is not something that you can increase or decrease. Immune system doesn't work like that. इम्यूनिटी कम्स फ्रॉम इन्फेक्शंस. जैसे जिसको कोविड हो गया वो इम्यून हो गया कुछ महीनों के लिए, हम बोलते हैं ना, इसी तरह से लॉट ऑफ इम्यून reaction in the body. Immunity, strong, a mature immune system involves a lot of multiple things. आपका कुछ देने से उसकी इम्यूनिटी स्ट्रांग हो जाएगी, या आप कुछ मिस्टेक्स कर रहे हैं उसकी वजह से इम्यूनिटी कम हो जाएंगी. ये कॉमन फॉल्स परसेप्शन है पेरेंट्स का, एंड काफ़ी समय जाता है मेरा ये समझाने में कि नहीं, ऐसा करने से इम्यूनिटी नहीं कम होगी, ऐसा करने से इम्यूनिटी बढ़ेगी नहीं. ये कोई वॉल्यूम का बटन नहीं है जिसको आप ऊपर नीचे कर सकें अपनी मर्जी से. इम्यूनिटी डिपेंड्स ऑन अ लॉट ऑफ फैक्टर. बच्चा कहाँ रह रहा है, क्या जीन्स है उसके, कहाँ खेल रहा है, किस एरिया में खेल रहा है, कौन से स्कूल जाता है, क्या क्या होता है. इम्यूनिटी इज़ अ मल्टी फैक्टोरियल थिंग. वैक्सीनेशंस इज़ वन थिंग अंडर आवर कंट्रोल that will actually give some immunity to the child against the illnesses. So the number one and the foremost thing that comes in that immunity list is vaccination. Second is khana pina, good oral intake of food and water, good sleep, good habits, good rest, good exposure to the environment outside, good mental hygiene. That means बच्चा mentally खुश होना चाहिए, hand hygiene and बेदिंग एंड ऑल दीज थिंग्स जो आप नॉर्मली करते हैं रूटीनली, अगर उन पे ही अच्छे से फोकस करें, खाने पीने पे भी, सो ये इम्यूनिटी का इशू आएगा ही नहीं किसी बच्चे में. फिर कुछ बच्चों को इम्यून डेफिशिएंसी होती है, उनमें डिफरेंट अप्रोचेस ली जाती हैं कि किस तरीके की इम्यून डेफिशिएंसी है, बट वो इम्यून डेफिशिएंसीज आर एक्चुअली वेरी रेयर. 1 in 25,000, 1 in 2 lakh, 1 in 5 lakh, इस तरह से रहती हैं. So not all children who fall sick frequently, who have recurrent URTI, upper respiratory infection, या UTI या other kind of infections, they do not have low immunity. It is a child who has not recovered from the previous infection और immediately उसको दूसरा आ गया. So that recovery period in between is also good. Many parents are seeing कि कोविड के बाद उनका सर्दी खांसी बच्चों का अब इतना नहीं होता है. वीजिंग, अस्थमा के जो अटैक्स आते थे, नेबुलाइजर्स लेते थे, अब उतना नहीं लेना पड़ रहा है. सो लाइक आई ऑलवेज सेड, बच्चों को एक ब्रेक मिल गया है वायरस की चेन्स में से. एक इन्फेक्शन, दूसरा इन्फेक्शन, तीसरा स्प्रेड होता रहता था. सो दिस ब्रेक वॉज वेरी मच गुड. आई थिंक COVID-19 हैज़ प्रूव्ड अ बून टू दिस किड्स, दोज हु वर सफरिंग फ्रॉम रिपीटेड वीजिंग एपिसोड्स. सो उनकी इम्यूनिटी कैसे ठीक हो गई जस्ट घर पे बैठे बैठे, यू नो. सो इम्यून सिस्टम इस तरह से एक्ट नहीं करता है. सो मेक श्योर योर चाइल्ड eats well, drinks well, sleeps well, takes regular food intake, और उसका मेंटल लेवल अच्छा है तो इम्यूनिटी अच्छी रहेगी. Priyanka is asking, 8 years old suffering from atopic dermatitis. What should I do? Please suggest. Itching is there all the time. Atopic dermatitis, Priyanka, I know how stressful it is, how much of issues it is connected with. But again, this is not the portal. You have to consult a good skin specialist and you have to ascertain कि वो हो क्या रहा है, उसका रीज़न क्या है. फिर उसके बाद आपको उसका इम्यूनोथेरेपी के लिए जाना चाहिए कि नहीं. ऑल दीज आर द रीजंस दैट अ पीडियाट्रिशियन इन हिज चैम्बर इज वेल equipped to answer you, not at this portal. I'm really sorry, Priyanka Pal. I'm scrolling through questions. If you have any more, you can post it. Okay. Pushpa Gowda is asking, how will we get to know hemoglobin is good or not instead of testing like symptomatic? See, many patients ऊपर से सब नॉर्मल दिखते हैं, खाते पीते हैं, हेल्दी हैं, बट व्हेन वी टेस्ट देम वी एक्चुअली कम टू नो कि हीमोग्लोबिन कम है. सो अ डॉक्टर सीज पेलर, आइस के नीचे यहाँ पार्ट में बच्चा फीका फीका सा लगेगा, रेडनेस नहीं रहेगी यूजुअली, जो हाथ के तलों में नेल बेड्स में रहती है. ये पिंकनेस जो होती है ये थोड़ा बहुत मेजर देती है आपको कि हीमोग्लोबिन परफेक्ट है, अच्छा है कि नहीं है. बहुत बच्चे एकदम फीके फीके वाइट वाइट लगते हैं, आंखों के नीचे देखो तो यूजुअल रेडनेस नहीं रहती है. ये सारी चीज़ें आपको बता सकती हैं कि आपका बच्चे का हीमोग्लोबिन कम है कि नहीं. बट अगेन वो 7, 6, 5 या 4 इस तरह के बहुत लो हीमोग्लोबिन होते हैं तो असर्टन आप कर पाएंगे. फॉर अस डॉक्टर्स इट टेक्स अ लॉन्ग टाइम टू बी ट्रेन फॉर दिस थिंग्स. वी कैन कैच कि हाँ इसका हीमोग्लोबिन इतना होगा या इसका इतना होगा, बट मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम हमको भी लेबोरेटरी वैल्यू को क्रॉस चेक करना पड़ता है. सो जस्ट बाय सेइंग हीमोग्लोबिन कम है और ये ले लो इज नेवर द राइट वे. एज विथ फीवर, खाली बताने से गर्म है कि इट्स नॉट, you have to document it. Similarly with hemoglobin, you have to document it. Documentation will help us identify कि कितनी दवा कितने टाइम तक कितनी डोज में देनी है. बिना डॉक्यूमेंटेशन के वो काम कोई डॉक्टर नहीं कर पाएगा. My son is 8 months old. Deepa Ika is asking. I think this is Deepika. So teeth are coming. No teeth are coming out, but child's warm is head. Head is warm, but as of now he is full active. So Deepika, I would like you to measure the temperature immediately. If it's anything above 100 or 101, you can wait for a day because the child is active. If the activity goes down, you might want to take him to a pediatrician immediately. Kavita is asking, my son is 7 years and 10 months and yesterday he has a fever of 102.5 and today no fever. Should I continue the paracetamol or not? So like I said, paracetamol antipyretic hai. Kavita Velu, paracetamol is an antipyretic that brings down the body temperature. So when your child is having a normal temperature already, you do not need to give this medication. Paracetamol is a symptomatic medication. It is not a corrective or a therapeutic medication that will elevate or remove the cause of fever. It just brings down the fever. So if a child has already a normal temperature, please never give paracetamol. But again, if the child is having no fever with body pain, there are body aches, child is not comfortable, feeling very uneasy, in that case sometimes paracetamol is given, especially with choked nose and runny nose, तो वो inflammation को कम भी करता है. Other than fever, this is one use of paracetamol where it is useful. Other than that, with a normal temperature, no need to give paracetamol. You can stop, and when the fever comes again, you might need to repeat it again. So my baby has completed 6 months on 26. When can I expect him to turn or sit a little? The child should be turning by 6 months. कभी कभी थोड़ा late हो सकता है. And a 6 months old child, Purnima, can sit with support at this point of time. Some children may be a little slow. They can do that by 7 or 8 months. So if your child is not even turning by next month, you should consult a pediatrician immediately. Cecily Reddy is asking, my 4 years has got corona, recovered recently. How do I keep my baby immune system healthy? So Saisri Reddy, your answer is he is in a post-corona phase where the risk of multi-inflammatory syndrome in pediatric patients is very high. Please do not tamper with anything that increases or supposedly increases the immune system. Do not do anything. Keep a good oral intake, keep good rest, because this multi-inflammatory syndrome is due to aberration of the immune system itself. Many patients who are giving all these immune booster and दुनिया भर का दवाई, so in these kids they can have aberrant immune response, and MIS is one of them. It happens post COVID, from 15 days up to 3 to 4 months later. We don't know how long because it's a very novel disease. So do not tamper with immune system. Your child has recovered from COVID. Be well, eat well, drink well, have regular activity done. Do not do anything extra. Hello, is fever the only symptom of coronavirus in babies? Santoshini Bhaskaran is asking. So, fever could be one of the symptoms of COVID in babies or kids, but fever is not the only symptom. Some children can have only fever, which may come and go. Some children can have diarrhea, loose motion, vomiting. Some children can, have uneasiness, stuffy nose, runny nose, a cough, maybe a little bit. They can have just abdominal pain, they can have just vomiting. Some have a lot of rashes over the body. So it can be a composite of all of this, 1, 2, 3, or 4 more things. So COVID has lot of variable things. Fever is just not the only thing. Fever can come in isolation, but it's not, only fever does not say whether the child has COVID or not. हनी रोहिदा इज आस्किंग फीवर में CRP क्यों ज़्यादा हो जाता है मेरे बेबी का? CRP इज अ C रिएक्टिव प्रोटीन. बेसिकली इट्स अ इन्फ्लेमेटरी प्रोटीन. हनी जी, ये CRP की वैल्यू कोई भी बॉडी में इन्फ्लेमेशन हो, चोट लगी हो, कुछ सर्जरी हुआ हो रिसेंटली, कुछ अंदर इन्फ्लेमेशन हो, जैसे फीवर में बॉडी में इन्फ्लेमेशन होता है वायरसेस के अगेंस्ट या बैक्टीरिया के अगेंस्ट, तो उस टाइम पे CRP की वैल्यू बढ़ जाती है. CRP की वैल्यू बढ़ने से फीवर के ग्रेडिंग का कोई रिलेशन नहीं है. वो डॉक्टर को हेल्प करता है जानने में कि इन्फ्लेमेशन है कि नहीं, मगर उससे फीवर का रिलेशन या ट्रीटमेंट में बहुत कोई फ़र्क पड़ता नहीं है. तो जस्ट CRP से कंफ्यूज मत होइए. प्रियंका जैन इज आस्किंग हाउ मिल्क इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट. Priyanka Jain, I don't understand how milk is important, as to which regards, if you can be more clear in that. So Akshu Arora is asking, sir, अगर मॉम को कोल्ड है और बेबी मदर फीड ही लेता है तो क्या बेबी को भी कोल्ड हो जाएगा? माई सन इज 3 months old and weight is 6 kg. Akshu, the cold happens due to a lot of things. कोल्ड वायरसेस बैक्टीरिया की वजह से होते हैं, अक्सर एलर्जी से भी हो सकते हैं. अगर आपका एलर्जिक कोल्ड है तो बच्चे को नहीं होगा. अगर आपका वायरल कोल्ड है तो आपके बच्चे को हो सकता है, बट क्योंकि आपको वायरस हुआ है, आपकी बॉडी अब एंटीबॉडीज़ बनाने लगेगी, तो वो भी आप मिल्क में पास ऑन करेंगे. आपके बच्चे को कोल्ड हवा के ज़रिए हो सकता है और उस टाइम पे आप मिल्क दोगे तो वो एंटीबॉडीज़ पास होंगी, तो आपका बच्चा जल्दी ठीक होगा. इसीलिए मदर को कभी भी कोल्ड है, सर्दी है, फीवर है, जो भी है दुनिया भर का, बच्चे को फीडिंग कंटिन्यू रखना चाहिए, बंद नहीं करना चाहिए. उनको अगर वो इन्फेक्शन हो भी गया तो ब्रेस्ट फीडिंग कंटिन्यू रखने से वो इन्फेक्शन जल्दी ठीक होगा. सो खाली कोल्ड की वजह से ब्रेस्ट फीडिंग बंद नहीं करना चाहिए. 4-year-old हैव इचिंग इन आइज, नो रेडनेस इज देयर, प्लीज सजेस्ट. आइज का स्ट्रक्चर अंदर देखना पड़ेगा, थोड़ा एग्जामिन करना पड़ेगा. विदाउट दैट मनाली मेहता, आई एम नॉट एबल टू हेल्प यू इन दैट रिगार्ड. So I think we have no more fever questions. Saida is asking, my son is 5 months old, should I give him Cerelac because he's not taking formula milk? Saida Mohsin, it depends on your local your circumstances. 5 months old, ideally we say wait up till 6 months to start with food. Cerelac is a packed food. If you can give fresh food, it will always be good, but Cerelac, I don't have any issues. You can go ahead and give. If you can wait for 15 days, 20 days, it would be better. But if the child is losing weight, is not passing good urine, is not active because of not able to take feed, then in that case, yes, you can start solids early. But ideally 6 months of waiting is recommended. Anu Shruta is asking, what kind of food to avoid for babies? My girl completes 5 months and my boys is 2.5 years. So 5-month-old, again, you can wait for a month and then you can go for the weaning session. I take a lot of weaning session. If you want, you can connect with me or you can connect with your own doctor. The boy is 2.5 years, so we can take almost anything at this age. Chocolates, cold drinks, pizzas, fatty foods, and all these things have to be avoided. Any kind of good, healthy, homemade food is absolutely wonderful for kids. Same for you, I think. Same for everyone. Neha Rote is asking, how likely are children prone to COVID? They say children are less prone. Is it true? So children are less prone to the complications of COVID, not to the COVID per se. COVID is a viral infection that can come and go. In different body types, it has a different response. So, whatever deaths and all these things that we are seeing are basically complications of COVID itself. So, children get COVID all the time. I have seen almost all children getting COVID, but the severity of COVID, the complication rate, the deaths, the bad things that happen from COVID are very, very rare in children. They do really well. So they are prone to COVID, they are prone to spread COVID also. So don't think कि बच्चे को COVID नहीं होगा, बाहर भेज दूंगा. वो घर में लाएगा, elderly को infect करेगा और वो ज़्यादा harmful होगा आपके लिए. So children get COVID. Lot of developmental questions are there. I'm skipping them. I apologize for that. Constipation problem. Last time also they had come. We should take a session for this, I think. Okay, so Rajni Goel is asking, my 6 years old daughter gets fever around 99 every 2 months and it remains for 1 to 2 days and it goes away. Is it okay? So yes, that is a very important thing. What time is the kid getting fever, how long it remains, what was the exact grading of the fever? You can note it down, you can go to a doctor. At the same time, a doctor will be a detective finding the reasons why it happened, whether the child was dehydrated, whether the child had any problems, whether the child had not taken food or water adequately. But about 99 grade fever with the active child, I think we should not be worried much. That settles on its own. Sir, I need to take alternate. Sarabjit Kaur is asking alternative days tablet cetirizine 10 mg due to allergy issues, and I'm feeding mother of 1 year baby. Is there any side effects to baby? I'm too worried. Again, any medication that a mother is taking has an effect on the child, whatever anyone says, but it's pretty safe and you need it for yourself. If you are healthy, you are doing good, the child will be healthy. So if already your child does not have any issues and the child is growing well, I don't think you should be too worried. Talk to your doctor about it who has prescribed cetirizine, that whether I can take it or not, and whether I really need it. For a feeding, lactating mother and pregnant females, we always advise them to take only the necessary medications, and if you can defer the other medications, it's always beneficial. Okay. Tintu Shinu is asking, my 7 months old sometimes feeling hot in head and more sweating in his head. Yes, it is normal, like we have discussed this again. Okay, Gulmohar Maksud is asking, my child is 6 years old, she's having lactose intolerance. Now she's not drinking milk, but all the time she's saying my stomach is paining. I had done USG. Okay, with lactose intolerance and other digestive issues, there are lot of digestive issues that are there. It's not just lactose intolerance, and these can be a cause for pain, not just with milk but with other items also. So you have to consult a proper gastroenterologist. There have to be certain kind of elimination diets and later on some immune therapy associated with it. It's not a very small topic, it's a very big topic with a lot of discussion. USG will always come normal in such cases. There is no gross, no surgical complication here, so I don't think you should be worried about USG for these kind of pains. Okay, Shipra Gupta is asking, my daughter is 8. I'll just take 3 more questions. So Shipra is asking, 8 years old, she has wheezing cough every night, while in daytime there is no cough. Sometimes she coughs while running and while going out in polluted. What could be the reason? So Shipra Gupta, 8-year-old with cough cold every night, which we call it as nightly, is a symptom of underlying wheezing associated illness. It could be asthma, it could be other things, it could be allergy. So there is some preventive medication, some huff puff kits, what we call it as some this spacer devices that are available that you need to keep. The more the child will spend time in this phase, the worse the child will get over time. So this needs to be managed well, this needs to be corrected, this needs to be controlled. If you have controlled it over a period of time, this thing, the child will get better in terms of growth, in terms of lung compliance, elasticity, and everything. So you need to meet a good specialist pediatrician as regards to this matter. Hair fall issues I'm not taking. Food issues again I'm not taking. Teeth issue, yes, 13 months is a high time to have teeth. We can wait till 14 months, but not more. You need to Roma Lama, you need to consult a pediatrician, get it assessed whether the teeth are just there lying to be popped up or not. You might need to put up on some calcium supplements as well. Okay, Bhavna Reddy is asking, my son is 4 years old and my doctor suggested to give kiddie care when he was frequently fell sick, and we are taking multivitamin. I started giving for improving immunity. Shall I continue? Frankly, many people have many opinions. This is my personal opinion. I don't believe in immune boosters or anything that will improve a child's immunity. Only vaccinations improve immunity, only good habits improve immunity, infections improve immunity. All these supplements, I don't believe in them. I'm really sorry. Varda Khan is asking, what all precautions can be taken wedding function with a toddler at home during this pandemic? You can skip the wedding entirely. Okay, sorry, it was again a call was coming through. So you can skip the wedding entirely, or if you have a toddler, make sure he or she doesn't come in contact with too many people. Wear a mask, take precautions yourself. But if it's totally unavoidable, it's a social issue rather than a medical issue. I'm really sorry. Okay, so last question, I'll just scroll down. I'm sorry, there were a lot of questions in between. Okay, so this is the last question I will be taking. Fazal Farooqi is asking, my son is 3 years 8 months old and we see that he snores if he sleeps on his back. We don't use a pillow for him, but if he sleeps on his side with a pillow, the snoring is gone. Fazal, absolutely important question. A snoring child is never to be taken lightly. There could be some obstructive phenomena that is happening. It could be the adenoids most commonly, it could be some enlarged tonsils. Again, there could be some other laryngeal issues that could be there. So snoring usually happens with the upper thing, the post nasal thing. If it is because of some adenoids or something, it's an obstructive issue. It will interfere with the sleep, the oxygenation level. The child can have really a bad development over a period of time. This is the time when the brain develops rapidly. So any obstructive lesions in the body is bound to not help the child reach the adequate level of development he should be reaching. So you should get it checked immediately, get that obstructive thing out. There is no harm in doing that if it's of that size, and the snoring should disappear. If it's snoring due to any other causes, and if the doctor feels so that it's not due to obstructive, then you can be rest assured and you can ignore it safely. Okay, so thank you everyone, and again I would like you to thank everyone for participating in this session, and First Cry and Exergen for such bringing out these topics. There were many things that we could have discussed and many things more that we can always discuss. It's always fun to talk with parents. I love it. So thank you First Cry Parenting, thank you Exergen for giving me this platform to connect with you all. If you like this, if you thought there's really something, I think you should share with other parents, so they also have these kind of questions. So it's important to share with them. Thank you so much, and I hope you will all take this message home, that fever has to be documented, fever has to be reported. It will help your doctor a lot. Use proper devices, use proper measurement tools, don't ignore it, don't sleep on it. Okay, and don't be too much fearful about it as well. Don't get too excited. Every kid will get a fever, don't worry. Thank you so much.